Call of Duty over the past iterations has had a fair share of good and bad elements. Each game has kind of had its own weird set of things that just don't work, and then at the same time there are things that are really great about each one. But one of the most glaring issues that has been plaguing Call of Duty for the last couple of years is without a doubt the existence of skill-based matchmaking, or SBMM as it's often referred to as. Now with Black Ops 7 approaching just around the corner, we've been getting a lot of news, a lot of updates, and things of that nature. I've been covering a lot of that here on the channel, and there are some things that do sound really good about Black Ops 7. For instance, Zombies looks really solid this year. Activision did say that they've even canceled some collabs for skins because they wanted to make Black Ops 7 a little more grounded. We'll see if that sticks, but for the most part, there are elements of Black Ops 7 that do seem pretty interesting, albeit the multiplayer does look a little boring, or at least generic, but it's Call of Duty at the end of the day, and there's not really much of a difference that you can expect from iteration to iteration. But the biggest issue with Call of Duty is SBMM, so let's talk about it. What exactly is SBMM? So SBMM stands for, of course, skill-based matchmaking, and basically it's a sort of mechanic that's used in a lot of competitive games where it matches you up to people based on your average skill level, your performance across multiplayer matches, and things like that. Now on paper, this sounds like a pretty good system, right? Because if you're an average, below average player, maybe you just play like once every now and then, so you're not like some pro FaZe Clan level type player, you obviously don't want to be paired up constantly with people who are playing like pros. At the same time, it lets competitive players match with other super competitive players, so in theory, it's supposed to just let everybody play with people just like them. So it's supposed to make things fair. But the implementation in Call of Duty doesn't really work, and there's a couple of reasons why I believe that is. First off, skill-based matchmaking would have made sense if Call of Duty wasn't one of those games that had a ranked mode. Now, ranked in Call of Duty, if you've never played it before, I've talked about it on the channel, I've played it occasionally as well. Ranked is basically where you are actually trying to compete. That's the whole point of ranked. It's much more limited than public matches in multiplayer. You have weapon restrictions, you've got restrictions on certain things, so it's supposed to be as close to a pro level as possible. So technically, if you were somebody that was super competitive about Call of Duty, you took it super seriously, you played like a sweat, so to speak, then you would go into ranked, which is where you're supposed to be if you want to play like that. At the same time though, Call of Duty has public matches, and public matches are supposed to be casual. They're supposed to be for fun. That's where you can include goofier game modes, more fun stuff. That's where you've got free-for-all, team deathmatch, hardpoint. Without as many rules, restrictions, regulations, and things like that, you can use pretty much anything in a standard public match because it's supposed to be casual. The issue with what Call of Duty has done is it's kind of turned everything into ranked. Basically, public matches with skill-based matchmaking now feel like just a standard ranked match, because if you go really positive in one game, all of a sudden you're bolted into leaves with people that are literal sweats at the game. It doesn't actually really feel like it's taking your average performance. Instead, what I've experienced and what most other Call of Duty players these days will tell you is that it feels like you're just kind of going match to match. Some people literally have started throwing games, other people started doing this thing where they would sign in with a lower level account, then party up with that account so that they could get lower level matches, things like that. All of these workarounds have been there just to get a proper Call of Duty experience, because the way it was prior to skill-based matchmaking was working fine. People enjoyed it, people were having fun. You didn't need to feel like every game you were competing for your life. It's Call of Duty at the end of the day. Most people are just playing because it's a casual game, not because it's a super competitive game. That's why ranked exists, so you can play competitively. Now, Activision claims that without skill-based matchmaking, the player retention goes down. But at the same time, when you play a match and you just do slightly better in one game, all of a sudden your entire play experience is completely miserable for the next several games sometimes. Even standard average casual players are dealing with this issue, and you can see complaints about this all over the internet. Now the thing is, with Black Ops 7, Activision is already changing things. For instance, they've cancelled skin collabs and things like that so that they can make the game feel more realistic and grounded, as they say. So if they can do that, then why can't Treyarch just remove skill-based matchmaking? Well, Treyarch was actually asked why they don't remove skill-based matchmaking, and simply put, Treyarch said it's actually not up to them. They are, quote, just the developers. So what this means is that Activision is the one that controls whether or not Treyarch has to add skill-based matchmaking or not, which does seem weird, right? Because if they can just cancel collaborations with companies, why not just remove skill-based matchmaking? Now, if you're a solo player, maybe skill-based matchmaking doesn't really bother you that much. If you're generally an above-average Call of Duty player, you might actually want to be matched with people at that level, but let's just say you're playing with your friends or your family members who are definitely not at your level or who are just slightly worse than you. All of a sudden, they won't be having a fun time because they're constantly going to be getting stomped on in a public match. Another issue that's come along with SBMM is lobby disbanding, which unfortunately looks like it's still gonna be there for Black Ops 7. One of the things that made old Call of Duty games so great was no SBMM and no lobby disbanding. You could just keep playing with the same people over and over, and it made things more competitive, more fun, more engaging, because at the end of the day, Call of Duty is just a video game and we all just want to have fun when we're playing this game. But if in every game you have to compete, and with all of these people trying to be as competitive as possible in public matches and an SBMM throwing you into lobbies with those people, it sort of removed the fun of what made Call of Duty fun. And lobby disbanding has just made it a really boring experience. Nobody really gets on voice chat anymore, but of course a lot of people have been getting banned on voice chat anyways, so a lot of people are afraid to even use voice chat. There's just so many issues with Call of Duty that have been consistently ruining the franchise, which is otherwise pretty decent. I mean, for the most part, every Call of Duty game is about the same. There's not really that much of a difference. If you've played one, you've basically played the others. But the thing is, with these sorts of additions, with SBMM, they are really taking away the fun from Call of Duty. Maybe the newer generation of players want SBMM. I don't know what sort of retention rate Activision has found for the player base, but I can say, for me at least, SBMM just makes Call of Duty less fun. And I think that it's going to be another issue once again with Black Ops 7, and it will definitely affect my enjoyment of Black Ops 7. One of the things that kind of bored me about Black Ops 6 and why I kind of just stuck to playing zombies for the most part was because I didn't want to keep dealing with SBMM, despite the fact that I used to love playing the multiplayer all the time in Call of Duty. So Black Ops 7 once again looks like it's going to have an SBMM issue, and I know that this is something that could be a make or break for a lot of people based on if they want to play it or not. At the end of the day, I will still probably play Black Ops 7 for at least the beginning to see how it's like, but I don't doubt the experience is going to be that different compared to Black Ops 6 and the past couple of Call of Duty titles that have been played with the exact same issue of SBMM. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If SBMM affects your decision whether or not to play Call of Duty, do talk about it in the comments. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss out on another upload, and that's all for today, folks.